Good morning, watchers of the MLS Econ report. Today's topic at hand is discussing the current salary caps that the MLS has. We will discuss their integration and their current state. A salary cap is like a price ceiling in economic terms. So first we must describe what a free market is and what equilibrium is. So a free market is where there's no government intervention. The market runs by itself, right? So then equilibrium is when the quantity supplied and the quantity demanded meet at a certain price. That is when the market has reached equilibrium. Now, with the addition of a price ceiling, the price or salary of any given player cannot exceed this ceiling, right? Causing there to be a bigger demand for players that can be supplied, meaning that the supply in this situation is the money that is being able to spend. The original salary cap was 1.2 million per team, and no player could earn more than $192,000. We can see that 1.2 million is the pricing that the team for the team, and 192,000 is the pricing per player. The new rule came in with the designated player spot, also known as the David Beckham rule. This is because David Beckham came into LA Galaxy and his salary exceeded way beyond that the pricing could even afford. So designated players are players that are star players that can be brought into the league whose cost and earnings far exceed the total cap. This was integrated so David Beckham could come to the MLS. He was paid in total $6.5 million, which is way over the pricing per player and for the whole team. The league and the club paid $100,000, while the club owner of the LA Galaxy had to pay the other $6.1 million. This was done so the viewership of the MLS could increase with new stars coming in, such a big one like David Beckham. Although this did come with a lot of issues between players, as David Beckham earned more in a month than most players did in a year. This caused the MLS to have to make amendments to the salary cap. This could be seen as financial disparity. The designated player spot had to be paid to be able to have. This worked as a sort of tax good. If you wanted a designated player to come to your club, you had to pay a lot of money to the league. This is an example of a tax good because you had to pay the original price of the player, but on top of that you must pay a tax to bring him in. These designated spots could be traded for money or players, etc. between teams, although there was a max of 2 designated player spots per team. When further amendments came, you could no longer trade your spots, but you could pay $250,000 extra for a third designated player spot, which was called a luxury tax. Then the MLS saw that there was a decrease in investment in youth players as teams were focusing on older players from Europe coming to the MLS. They decided to make amendment and make youth players cheaper. For players between 21 to 23, a team only had to pay $200,000 for their designated player spot, and if they were under 20, league decreased it all the way to $150,000 in an attempt to make clubs invest in youth players. Although it is still sort of a tax, we can see that MLS some way subsidized youth players in an attempt for clubs to start buying more youth players than older players. Okay, so the money that is the difference between the salary cap and a player's salary that they need, and if you don't want to make them a designated player spot, the team could use their allocation money to pay the difference. Okay. Advocates of the salary cap believe that this is a way of having financial security for the league and prevents overspending and avoid market failure in a way for certain teams to go bankrupt. People against the salary cap say it's restrictive and it prevents the market from reaching its equilibrium, or however you want to call it, and it is also why the MLS has not been able to win any CONCACAF Cups, as they can't bring good enough players or pay good enough players, and they almost always leave the MLS. They also say it's a way for the MLS economy not to be able to expand or grow. Although, to put into perspective, the price salaries of the NBA are 30 times larger and the NFL's are 50 times larger. But the salary caps have been increasing, but to reach that kind of level, it is going to have to take a long period of time. To put this all into economic terms, the MLS market as a free market has a natural agreement it will eventually find, where there is an efficient allocation of resources. When the MLS intervenes in this free market, we can see it as government intervention. They intervene and place a pricing on the market, causing a shortage as the demand exceeds the supply. Designated players become tax good as they are valuable to teams, and the MLS wants to make money from these designated players. They are also used to increase MLS revenue, as with more star players, more viewership comes. The further taxation is placed in case teams want more designated player spots. Then for teams to focus on young players, in a way, they are subsidized to make teams buy more youth players. Although with the free market it can reach equilibrium on its own, there can be market failure caused by the misallocation of resources by said market, which can be caused by overspending in teams in this case. The price ceiling prevents market failure, although also impedes the league to grow. Overall, the salary caps have their negative impact, but make sure that the league stays financially stable, and as it is still in its early stages compared to Europe, where there are no salary caps, they are increasing slowly, as now in 2018 the salary cap is $3.485 million. We will have to see in the future.